Hello everyone and welcome to a breakdown of the opening stage of the Copenhagen 2024 Major. First off, let's discuss the big disappointment for Nine Pandas, who were unable to attend the event due to visa issues, and that led to them being replaced by Gamer Legion. Now that sucks for Nine Pandas, who will miss out on not being able to play in the biggest event of the year, being the first CS2 Major and everything, and also missing out on the big sticker revenue that was going to come. Maybe. I mean, stickers still aren't out yet, so who knows what would have happened there. I imagine the stickers, like, they would still bring out the stickers for the opening stage, but we'll see. But with that being said, not only did the Nine Pandas missing out kind of affect them, it affected the whole community because it ruined the pick'ems. I'm going to be honest, lads. It kind of fucked my pick'ems, especially because I would have put Amcal to go 0-3 if I knew they were going to play Gamer Legion. I thought they might be able to take a map off Nine Pandas, hence why I didn't do that. So that's fucked the pick'ems, along with a bunch of other things that we'll get into either in this video or the pick'ems video for the elimination stage. But first we'll start off talking about the teams who went to 3-0, that being Cloud9 and Heroic. And Heroic, for me, especially coming into this, were kind of a ones to watch to see how they would perform missing. We'll see how they would perform after the whole incident with Stabby and Cadian and all that drama that happened. But instead, what we got was Tessis and Shush laughing their way into the elimination stage with the Macedonian, with the Israeli. You know, they're all coming together. With Nikodos, you know, they've managed to power through. Whereas Stabby and Cadian, Astralis, Liquid, nowhere to be seen, didn't even qualify, couldn't get past the RMR, and Heroic have made their swift 3-0 into the elimination stage. So that must be brilliant for them. Love that. Excited to see how they play. Hopefully they make it to the Royal Arena. It will definitely be a big thing for Tessis and Shush to make it there and be sort of the hometown favourites. Have the home crowd backing them. So excited to see where that goes. And when we go into Cloud9, who, despite not having a dedicated opera yet, still kind of managed to live up to everyone's expectations. We all expected them to go 3-0. They did that, but the opening day was kind of shaky from them. They struggled a little bit versus Static and Legacy. Kind of closer how people... Well, it was a bit closer than people expected it to be. But they managed to beat through them. Faced off against Saw in the 2-0 game where they managed to defeat Saw 2-0, beating them on Nuke, which Saw had a 10-game win streak going into that, I think. Beating Cloud9 previously in that win streak. And also having an 11-game win streak going into that. So Saw were definitely on form. Cloud9 managed to take them down, secure that 3-0 spot and advance into the elimination stage. As for the teams who went 3-1, we've got Eternal Fire, Ecstatic and Pain. First off, we'll start with Eternal Fire, who the Turkish squad were probably my pick. Well, you can see that they were my pick to go 3-0. I really like the Counter-Strike they've been playing up to this point. I still do like the Counter-Strike they've been playing to this point, even though, especially when it got to the latter stages against Heroic and against Gamer Legion, you can see that they were kind of rushing rounds at times. They were kind of throwing away a little bit. Still managed to go 3-1, managed to advance through, but it was definitely a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? A bit scrimmy at times. You know, they kind of were going balls to the wall, and I guess that's kind of the style, but there was definitely times in the latter games where you could see that they were losing concentration. They were losing focus and they just tried to rush the game and get it done, and that's probably what cost them going 3-0. But again, they still managed to advance, so fair play to the Turkish squad, and I'm excited to see what they do in the elimination stage. I don't know if they'll go through, but I definitely don't think they'll go 0-3. I could see them being in the 2-3 stage for the elimination, but we'll see when we get there. As we move on to Ecstatic, you know, the hometown heroes, the all 5 Danish man roster, sort of the underdogs, the what's the word I'm looking for? The Mighty Ducks kind of vibe that they've got going on. You know, most people didn't expect them to even win a map this event. I think a lot of people had them 0-3, quite disrespectful to them. They managed to go 3-1. Had a very, very good stage. Like I said, a very close game versus Cloud9 on the opening day, only losing out by 3 rounds, and again, what was a very close game on Ancient. Then they had to play against both squads from Asia, which they dispatched with ease, as you would expect, and then had to play Imperial in an intense best of three. But they came out on top of that match and managed to secure their place in the elimination stage. Top 16 for the boys at Ecstatic. I bet they're buzzing with that, and I would be really interested to see if they make it to the Royal Arena. But I think when we get to the elimination stage, they might struggle, and I think that's when they'll hit the 0-3, I'm afraid. Sorry, guys, but I just don't see it happening. Now, it pains me to say this. I had them 0-3, and my God, did they impress. Big Uzera was unbelievable this opening stage, from the in-game leader role, dropping some incredible numbers throughout their whole series, uh, as well as the other players in the squad. It was great to watch. They put up a really good performance against Ents with a 13-3 domination. I have to they destroyed Ents with a 13-3 and a 2.1 rating from Big Uzera himself. In the second game, they had to play Eternal Fire, who instead hit them with a little Uno reverse card and smashed them with a 13-2. But they were able to bounce back versus Apex and Saw and put up a wonderful display of Counter Strike and push their way into the and push their way into the elimination stage. Don't know why I got so confused there. Sorry. We'll now move on to the teams who were eliminated, starting off with Ents, who it's very unfortunate that Glaive, who managed to help his teammates make it all the way into the arena in Katowice, was unable to receive the same treatment here in Copenhagen, as the Polish squad fell to Furia in their elimination match after a very poor show in the major, I have to say. They really, really showed something in Kato. They looked exciting, but they really struggled here, especially with losing 3 of their 4 games to the Brazilian teams, who have put on a masterclass. It has to be said, the Brazilian CS has been on form here, but that cannot take away from the fact that Ents were just really, really shocking, especially Diha, who has, I would say, has struggled a lot since this whole roster change has happened. He's definitely the talk of the town right now for Ents. It's just putting in a very, very poor show. It sucks to see someone who kind of thrived under Snappy and in that old Ents team. It's a shame to see that he hasn't been able to get going with Glaive and the boys of 9. I really hope there's a turnaround point soon on the horizon for him, and Ents can sort of start climbing back up. But I definitely think this is a wake-up call for them, and Katowice was sort of their honeymoon period. So I hope they get their act together, pretty much. As for one of the other teams who were eliminated, and a team who I had to go through as well, was Apex, who went from a 4th place finish in the last major of CSGO, the last major played in Paris, or not, the last major played in Paris. They were able to reach to the semi-finals, get 4th place, have sadly fallen out in the 4th. They were the 4th team to leave this event, who also got absolutely destroyed by the Brazilians. It's very, very unfortunate to see for them. They looked lost a lot of the time, I'm not going to lie. Definitely wasn't the team who were, I mean, obviously, there's been changes with Kixen leaving and Cuban leaving, and they weren't the same squad, but it was clear to see that they looked lost. They weren't sure what they were doing. They definitely struggled a lot, and it's sad to see, especially for someone like Jacob, who put up such a brilliant performance, and he's always such a consistent player. It's such a shame to see them go out this way, and I really hope that they get their act together. But I wouldn't be shocked to see roster changes happen. especially with players like Jacob potentially leaving, because there's other teams who will want to bring someone of that quality in, and I wouldn't be shocked if he was to go. And for the last team that went 1-3, Lynn Vision, who managed to take their only map off of Furia, which has to be one of the worst displays of Counter Strike I've ever seen. Um, Furia, I think, legit just said fuck everyone's pick'ems. Let's just throw the game and give, like, if you I will link a video in the description, which I definitely think you should watch if you didn't watch this match. Watch this video and it will sum up how they lost. They honestly, it was a battle of the throw. It was one of the worst games of CS I think I've ever seen in CS, in CS2 especially. Especially, I think it was probably one of the worst at Major. It was horrendous. It was a battle of the throw. Both teams were trying their hardest not to fucking win, and Lin Vision somehow managed to take that map. But other than that, kind of it went the way we expected from them. Realistically, should have went out 0-3. Not really much to say on them. As well as the two teams that went 0-3, Amcal and Koi. I don't really have a lot to say about them either. I didn't have high hopes for them. I expected Koi to take a match, but when you see the way the bracket went, it's not surprising that they didn't. They probably would have taken a match if they played Lin Vision in the O2 game. They probably would have beat them, but sadly they faced up against Furia, and that's why they got eliminated at 0-3. So unfortunate for them. Whereas again, Amcal, don't really have much to say about them. So let's move on. Now going into the 2-2 games, which will be played today, actually in 2 hours. So probably by the time you see this, they would have been played or are currently getting played. We have the Legacy versus the Mongols, Imperial versus Gamer Legion, and Saw versus Furia. Now, real quick, who do I expect to win? Not like it matters because I got my pick'ems wrong anyway, so I'll probably get these wrong. I wouldn't be shocked. I would expect to see Furia win. Imperial Gamer Legion's kind of a coin toss. Legacy versus the Mongols is also kind of a coin toss, but I think we will get the Mongols, Gamer Legion, and Saw. Not Saw, and Furia. That's my predictions, but let's move on. Cold Zera's Legacy put up a very impressive performance, being one of the standout teams at this event for Brazil. You know, they managed to beat the top team in their country of Fury in 16-13 on a very good ancient game, a very close ancient game at that. A very good performance from them. A loss versus C9 and a disappointing performance versus Gamer Legion. As you can see, they get beat 13-4. That was kind of tough to see, but they managed to win against Apex in a 1-2 game, which was honestly like men versus boys. Apex just looked, especially in this game as well, when I say they looked lost, there were certain rounds throughout that matchup where you can just see that it wasn't there for Apex. You could see that they were just a shadow of their former selves, and you know it really played out in the favour for Cold Zera and the boys to push through, and now they have a final chance to get into the elimination stage versus the Mongols. But for me, like I said, I think the Mongols will win it. I personally really like the Mongolian lads. I think their team's very fun to watch. You know, it's somehow Mongolia just has this plethora of talent for CS. It's crazy, and not only that, you know, they're led by Blitz, who's also a grandmaster in chess. I'm pretty sure. So just an extremely talented group of individuals, and also at such a young age. You know, like I think the oldest player is Blitz, who's like 22. I think the average age is 19. They've got a 16-year-old, they've got a 17-year-old. You know, it's just a group of young, talented players. And I really hope to see them win against Legacy and push through into the next stage because it'd be exciting to see how they do there, and just great for their story. The next game up, we have Gamer Legion versus Imperial. Now, for Gamer Legion, I don't really have much to say. They've kind of performed how you would expect, to be honest, and that's all I can say. They haven't done a lot to stand out to me. They haven't impressed. They've kind of just played CS. They've kind of just been there. Um, they haven't done anything spectacular. It's just same old gamer legion, really. I I don't really have much to break down about them. They've kind of just been playing their CS, doing what they do, being bang average, and that's why they're that's where it's got them to where they are now. As for Imperial, I mean, they came out day one really, really impressing people. They put up a very good performance against Ents, which they managed to beat into double overtime. Maybe I think it was triple overtime actually, with the new way the system works. It was triple overtime. They managed to beat Ents on, which I think um, blew everyone away. I don't think a lot of people were expecting that, but they managed to do that, and then they also managed to push heroic in the overtime on day one. So it was definitely a very impressive performance, and kind of showed how Brazil were going to be. During this opening stage, they were going to be ferocious. Ironically, with Furia going on to being the only Brazilian team sort of to let the group down, it feels. Um, but they were honestly so impressive, and I think they, unfortunately, losing 2-1 to a static, and again, what was somewhat a very close match, especially on Vertigo, it seemed like a static were going to take it, and they were off to a very, very strong lead at one point. And Imperial managed to claw back, but unfortunately lost out. And are now in this stage where they have to play against Gamer Legion. I honestly, and I know I said this earlier, that I think Gamer Legion will go through, but now thinking about it, I've changed my mind. I think Imperial will take this match against Gamer Legion and push through onto the next stage. Now we go to the final matches of, or the final match of today, which is Saw versus Furia. Um, Saw were a team who came into this major probably the most on form, with, like I said, having their 11 match win streak that they had, and they put up a very, very impressive run this major. You know, Unfortunately, just losing out to Cloud9, which we all kind of again expected to happen. I kind of discussed that game a little bit when talking about Cloud9, but when they got to play Big Uzera's Pain, they were destroyed by the Pain train and kind of humbled, put into their place, and now have to play against Furia. Now going into Furia, and I've kind of left them for last year because they have probably been the biggest disappointment this whole event. Um, it's well, maybe not the biggest because, like I said, there's teams at Ents who have already went home, but going on to the opening stages for Furia is just something that I don't think anyone expected. They you can tell that they're still struggling with art in the IGL role. There's people out there who are screaming for uh, Big Uzera to come in and take that role. It's sort of been the talk for ages. How is art still the IGL? And but that's by the by. When you have players like Keserato, who is by far the best rifler in the region, um, you shouldn't be going on to in the opening stages. And again, breaking down the game they had against Lin Vision was just abysmal. It was an embarrassing performance, and it's put them into this deadline stage against Saw again, who's a really promising team. It's a tough match for them, and it's a position that they shouldn't be in, where they're now battling to avoid going to DE Airport, you know. And I'd hope, as much as Fury is such a hard team because you want to like them, but you also dislike them because of some of the decisions that they've made, just as an org, and the fact that they're still like they have two main IGLs in their team. It's just a fucking shit show. So I wouldn't be surprised if they get eliminated here after this performance, but I'd hope to see them push through. Hope to see them get through to the next stage because, as you can see, I do have. Well, actually, you don't see it because this will go into the. This will be in the fucking pick'em video part. That I do have a Furia jersey because we did a mystery wheel for jerseys to take to the major, and I got Furia. So you can imagine I was pissed off when I seen them go fucking 0-2, and then subsequently just fuck my pick'ems as well. So that's great. That was fantastic to see. I almost burned the jersey because I was just that pissed off, but I didn't. And now it's time for them to play Saw in the elimination stage, last stages in the major, to see how that ends up. But to summarise all this up after that sort of incoherent kind of rant, sorry, it's been a long time since I've done a big video like this, so I'm kind of out of touch. And it was a lot of information to sort of try and digest and break down. So I probably did a very horrible job of it, and I apologise. But I wanted to try my best to sort of sum up the opening stage because it was a fucking shit show. If anyone's still on their road to the diamond coin, congratulations. I'm probably on the road to silver coin at this point. But that being said, I will still be doing my pick'ems for the elimination stage after these games are played, and I have higher hopes for this. I fully expect to get. How many do I need? 5? Honestly, I expect to get at least 9 or maybe 8 of these right. So we'll see you for that part. Famous last words. We'll probably end up with a fucking bronze coin at the end of all this. But anyway, thanks for watching. Sorry for the long video and what kind of seemed like a rant, but I just kind of wanted to discuss this, try and get try and get back into the flow of making content again. So if it was good and you enjoyed it, leave a like. Thanks very much, and yeah, we'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.